Okay, so this is part 2 on the 2 GT18 restorations. So you can see I got the silver parts painted. Here's a picture of the hoods with paint and decals on them. Got a pile of miscellaneous parts here. Got a couple engines, a transmission. Over there is the transmission that I had tore apart in the last video. The pile of tires with a 3-point hitch on the top. Something else that I have going on, and this is why this video is kind of overdue, is you can notice I have very few tractors left in this building. I actually still have 30 left in here, but they're so spread out that it doesn't really look like much anymore. So there's a bunch here, there's a bunch over here, then of course along this over here. I sold the case, so that's gone. I still have the rest of the tractors, they're just not right here, and the rest of these will be leaving very soon. So I can't wait to show you where those are going because it's going to be so cool. The rest of the parts, I think this turned out really nice. This is automotive paint like I always do. Don't mind the junk boxes in the background, I just have some wire stuff I was sorting through. So I think this turned out pretty good. See just how nice and shiny that is. Maybe like this, you can see like those jacks in the background in my hand. The black is definitely the shiniest. It's almost like a mirror. Of course, I got the frames, the back parts. Everything is painted. Underneath that rag on that table of junk is all the tie rods and stuff. Can't remember if I showed you this in the last video, but this is all the chrome parts and all the basic small parts covered up. These two dashes are very, very shiny. So you can see just on how shiny they are. So I will come back when I get some more progress. So I got the 78 with the onan mostly put together, other than of course everything it's missing. It actually has a working parking brake, which is very surprising because this is actually the 4th or 5th tractor I have with a working parking brake. So that's about it on that. Never mind the water on the floor. It rained really hard last night and the shed kind of leaks. I have the forklift set up because that's always what I use to put the tractors together. I set the frame here. I get the front tires on, and then I hang it from the seat spring on that chain, and then I can get the transmission in there. I actually showed that on the video where I put the red roper together, the last one. Of course, here's all the remaining stuff for the single-cylinder GT18. And here's all the frame stuff for it. So I will come back once as I get the front, middle parts, and the rear part of the frame put together. So I got the whole frame parts put together. Front tires are on, tie rods are on. So all that's on. Of course, I put the seat spring on because, like I was mentioning before, I hang it from the seat spring with that chain on the forklift so I can get the transmission in. This transmission is missing parts of the brake, which I do actually have, but since it's actually busted off right here, and this is all bent up, somehow that happened, not sure how, I'm just gonna not have brakes on this. It didn't have brakes before and it was perfectly fine. A lot of my tractors don't have brakes at all, so this will just be another one that doesn't have brakes. But I guess to make up for it, the parking brake on that one works. So another thing I had to do, because this tractor never had a high-low range lever in it before since I had it. So I actually don't have any more of those little brackets that goes right under here. So I had to get inventive and I made some. So this is just a flat little piece of metal I found laying around. I bent it in half and that should work fine. This one here didn't turn out as nice, but they should work. And I will let you know actually if those work or not. So I'm gonna get this transmission in and I will come back when I get that on. So on the single cylinder GT18, which is the one I was just working on, I got the transmission in, got the fenders on, one tire. On this side, both bolts are actually broken off. So I just kind of left this tractor sit for now because I didn't feel like messing with that at the moment. So I started working on the 78 twin cylinder. So I got the wiring pretty much installed on it. Transmission, I guess the transmission was already in it. I got the rear taillight panel and light put on. This wiring harness is actually out of the last roper because you can see that that roper that I just finished up in one of the last videos now has a Predator 212. That is because no matter what I did, that Kohler would not run. So instead, I took it out days ago and I bought a brand new Predator 212 and put that in here and called it good. And I also, of course, got the battery tray put on with all the brackets and everything for the hood. When I paint these, I always pull the little data plates off and I just rivet those back on. It just makes everything look much nicer instead of trying to tape it off and it just starts to look all crummy. So yeah, I got all that bolted on. So what's left on this one is dash, steering wheel, mower deck mounts, which will never be used, but it should have them. Run a belt, hood, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Actually, kind of a lot. It takes more work and time to go from where this tractor is sitting right now to a complete tractor than it is from going from nothing to that. It's just all that little stuff just takes forever. So I will come back when I get some more progress on stuff. Okay, so I made a little bit of progress on some stuff. I got the single cylinder GT18 on all four wheels for the first time. I was able to fix that issue right here, so I put in some bolts. They're not very big bolts, but they're bolts. So, I mean, it's better than not having anything. It was a huge pain to cut or get those threads drilled and everything properly. So I'm just like, well, 1/4-inch bolts is what I use, and that's better than not having any. So both bolts are in there, and I have some tractors that only has one bolt on each side because the other one's busted off. Twin cylinder GT18, I'm not going to show it a whole lot because it's basically done other than decals. I've got, of course, a little bit of parts left in these miscellaneous boxes because one tractor left. And then I've got that stuff to put on that's scattered out through a bunch of pallets to put together. So I will come back when I get some more progress on this one. Alright, so I got the fuel tank in. I have the engine in, front grille. It's basically now just dash, hood, and seat, and final detailing, and I guess some decals. And this thing is about done. I guess the muffler. It's gonna get one of these shroud pieces because I tried taking these bolts out and they don't really want to come out. So instead of breaking them off and then having to re-drill out the block, I'm just gonna put this on there, which is gonna aim the exhaust down instead of straight this way. I wanted to actually put a pipe coming out and then coming over here and having a muffler over here, but that's just not going to happen without breaking those bolts off in the block. So I'll be probably screwing that in directly into the muffler since somebody already broke some bolts off in there. So I'll just self-tapping screw with those in and call that good. Got the data plate all riveted in just like I did on the last one. So for the fuel pump, right down there is the fuel pump. You can see it right there. They go by all kinds of different names online, all the way from $8 all the way up to like $35. I think you can get it. I always get the cheapest one because they're all the same. So that sucks the fuel from the bottom of the tank, brings it up to here, and you want your return line to always be above. So then it'll go to the carburetor and then return. And in this time the return line is thinner than the actual fuel itself, or the fuel line itself. So then that way it'll actually have a little bit more pressure going to the carburetor than just kind of dripping in. So, and that goes back to the back of the tank here, which that's going to need some silicone around there to hold that in. This fuel cap is Pretty sure it's a replacement because I highly doubt that would be in that good a shape, but you never know. But I cleaned that up so you can actually read it. And the other one is basically just done waiting for decals that I now have right here. So I will come back when this one looks just like the other one. So I now got the dash put on. I decided to change the oil because I checked the oil and there was basically nothing in it and it was very gray looking. So I just drained the oil out, and I am next, after I shut the camera off, going to add some fresh oil to it. I did install that little part on the muffler and I painted it so it would actually look halfway decent. I cleaned up this chrome air filter cover because it was very rusty looking, so I just took a SOS pad and some water and I just scrubbed it with that, and it came out pretty nice. Of course, the dash is on, that's all screwed in. Painted the front of the hood. So I always brush paint these because it's very hard to tape off the edge, and for some reason whenever I tape stuff off it tends to bleed through. So I just say forget it, and I just brush it on with some pretty decent paint, and it seems to look okay. So that's going to be it for this video because I didn't want to ruin the final video that I'm going to do on these. So yeah, thanks for watching. Within the next 2 days or so I will have the video of these things up when they are completed.